I love what you said about flourishing kids. As a pediatrician for a long time, I have taught that breastfeeding is the very best food for babies. It's the perfect food, and it is. But I had this idea that once they stop nursing, that there's no perfect food anymore. But it's not true. We are ideally designed to live in a world full of a variety of wonderful whole foods that help us flourish. This world is ideal for us. It's a positive place. But I want to take you away from our nice morning in a sunny day in California in the 21st century back to the early 1800s in the shaft of a coal mine, where it's dark, dank, coal dust in the air. Coal mining was a very dangerous profession. Some of the dangers were obvious, but there were some that the miners could not see and could not smell and could not taste, noxious gases that were very dangerous to them. And what they learned was that if they would bring with them into the mine some mice or little birds or other small animals, that they would be affected first. They would die first, and the miners could get out in time. Eventually they learned that canaries were the best at that. They were the most vulnerable because of their rapid metabolisms and the way that they were designed. And so they would carry a canary on a perch, and if the canary would stop singing, or if the canary would fall off the perch, they would know it was time to get out of there. It was time to make a difference. It was time to take action immediately. And by the way, canaries in mines were used in Great Britain all the way up until 1986. There were 2 canaries in every coal mine. And that was when they figured out electronic sensors were actually even more sensitive. But today what we've done is we've taken toxic substances and brought them into our homes and into our schools and into the food that we eat. And we have unwittingly made children our canaries. But I heard you telling the story of losing your son, and heard Jim and Nancy's story about losing Colette. The EPA has determined that when it comes to children, if there's a carcinogen in the environment, after their review of toxic substances, that a carcinogen is approximately, on average, 10 times more potent for a baby than for an adult. And in some cases, 65 times more potent for a baby than for an adult. So if that's true, you'd expect cancer in kids to be more common for a lot of us, and as it turns out, it's true. The cancer rate in babies in the first year of life is extremely high, and then 2-year-olds just after that, and then 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds just after that. Then there's a little bit of a dip, and there's another peak of cancer in adolescence, and then it's low for the early adulthood. You have to get to 50 years of exposure before you get to the same kind of cancer rates you get in a 5-year-old or a 15-year-old. Cancer is high. And as you were saying at the beginning, there's this relationship between our genetic code and environmental triggers. We're genetically susceptible, and then something in the environment triggers it. What we've seen in cancer rates in kids in the last 25 years, in the last 10 years, has been astonishing. All childhood cancers have gone up steadily, about 25%. Brain cancers in kids have gone up 56%. Acute lymphocytic leukemia has gone up 68%. And in just a 10-year period alone, and just in babies, brain tumors have gone up 60%. And reproductive tumors, reproductive cancers in babies have gone up 124%. A dramatic rise in cancer in kids, especially the youngest and most vulnerable. And here's the deal. It's not that their genes have changed in the last 10 years. It's not that our genetic makeup has changed in the last 25 years. It's our environment that's changed, that's triggering things. Healthy kids, healthy environment. But it's not just cancer. We are releasing into our environment, in our sofas, and in our cans, and in our computers, and our carpet, and our drapes, and our lawns, and we have a variety of chemicals. There's 85,000 new synthetic chemicals in the last 60 years, and many of them that we know are carcinogens, are neurodevelopmental toxins, are endocrine disruptor hormones. And as you would expect, in kids, we're seeing a rise in conditions related to all of those things. Cancer, yes, but also neurodevelopmental problems. Learning disabilities are on the rise. Autism is now 1 in 166 kids. ADHD has gone up 250% in just 10 years. Now, I used to think as a pediatrician this attention deficit thing was just parents who weren't doing a good job with their kids, or teachers who weren't doing a good job with their classrooms. Class sizes were getting too big or something. But we've learned through PET scans, looking at the brains of these kids, that there's actually a change in their brains where they can't pay attention, where they are impulsive and can't control it. There's a neurodevelopmental physical problem there, and we've learned that it's linked to environmental triggers. The big study in the last year attributing 1/3 of all ADHD to just 2 exposures, lead and secondhand cigarette smoke. But those things are both on the decline. Why is ADHD still skyrocketing? Well, another thing that's been linked to it has been organophosphate pesticides. And organophosphate pesticide exposures in kids in the United States today, the average child has 3 times the EPA-safe dose in them now. And it's been going up over the last 10 years, the same time that ADHD has been going up. Allergies, asthma has quadrupled since 1980 to become the biggest chronic disease in kids. Peanut allergies doubled in a 5-year period recently. And again, it's not that our genes have changed, it's the environmental exposures that are changing. So the bottom line here is that kids are the most vulnerable, that chronic diseases are increasing very rapidly, linked directly to specific environmental toxins we know about, and many we have no clue about yet. And we have to learn about these, and we must reduce the toxic exposure. Now, the good news is it's pretty easy to do. It can feel overwhelming, but there are simple steps that an individual or a business can take to get rid of the most potent toxins. The other good news is that Healthy Child, Healthy Planet has done a great job of taking that science, distilling it to simple, actionable steps. Their website is an amazing resource. You can go to the Healthy Home and click on a room and find out exactly what are the biggest threats in that room and the biggest positive things you can do. The good news that we're gathered here today about is that going from the old Czech website to the new Healthy Child, Healthy Planet, we're taking a resource that exists, it's powerful, proven worth, something I use all the time, and now trying to get that word out broadly. We want this to be accessible, well-marketed, something that people hear about, becomes part of the general knowledge. So people know what plastics are okay, what plastics are dangerous. Most people, even in the Expo Center, if you ask which recycling symbols are dangerous and which ones are fine, would have no idea. Most people haven't heard yet about the new study that came out this week showing that bisphenol A, a known endocrine disruptor, is present in the cans of baby formulas that were just tested this week. 1 out of 3 cans had servings enough to cause known birth defects in them. So we need to get the word out, and get the word positively out, and together, to join together to create a healthy environment. In the same way that breast milk is a perfect food, but beyond that they're perfect foods, there's perfect homes for humans, perfect stores and perfect businesses, the way that we're designed to live together. So let's all do whatever part our little piece of it is and push this forward for the next generation.